Good morning, Shenandoah Valley and Winchester and Frederick County. This is Dana B with Dan B and Charlie M, and we are the 3%. We want to say Merry Christmas to everybody, and we're going to do a presentation here for you this morning. We put a lot of time and effort into, and as of course, I want you to know a little bit about who we are and what we do. And my name is Dana B, and I work with Charlie and Dan with this little group right here, and we're just showing you where you can find us. We are the Mountain Patriots Educational Ministries right here in Frederick County. We try to keep the community up to date as much as we can on all kinds of different ministries that we have. So if you want to find out more about this and find all of the paperwork or the reports or the PowerPoint on this, make sure that you visit us at mtnpats.com or wakeupwinchester.com, and you'll be able to find just about anything that we're covering right here. So I wanted to get that out of the way. And first of all, I'm going to go over here to the slideshow, guys, and see how this works for us. And this morning, I want to tell you, folks, that you've already know, some of you know what we've done. A lot of the people are concerned, of course, with good reason, about data centers. And we do use data all over the place. Everybody wants to have the data and the convenience of it, but people don't want a lot of the problems that are with it at the same time. So data centers are coming. So what we did is we put together what we call the Mountain Patriots think tank, which was started with about 10, 12 of us, and we broke it down into about 4 of us that put this together. So our data centers are already here. Now what do we do? So let me take you down through this, and then I'm going to turn it over to Charlie. First off, let me tell you a little bit about Mountain Patriots and who we are. We are putting together on this particular project a grassroots think tank of local engineers, activists, and community advocates. This is endorsed by the Mountain Patriots Educational Ministries. We're a nonprofit. The goal was a fact-based, constructive discussion on data center development and some proposed solutions, which we're going to cover today, and Charlie's going to lead us. This is not an anti-growth. This isn't us telling people, oh, we're for or against. This is all educational so that people can get involved with what's going on. So this isn't about anti-growth. This is about seeking reasonable safeguards for our residents. So I'll take you down to the third slide here. And the fact is that the United States is racing to lead the artificial intelligence. You hear President Trump talking about this all the time. He's brought all these people in. There's a massive data center expansion. It's spilling from the Northern Virginia into our backyard, folks. It's right here in the Shenandoah Valley. All right. The promise has been significant tax revenue, but there's a lot of risks. So beware of the developers bearing gifts and the hidden long-term costs. So now that I've kind of set the stage for you, I'm going to turn it over to our incredible friend, Charlie M., who put this whole presentation together. And I want to thank Dan for helping put all this stuff together, and our good friend, Leslie Spencer, who was part of this historic thing that we're doing here in Frederick County. And Charlie, why don't you take it away for us?
Sure. Thank you, Dana. Well, one of the things when we got started, in fact, what inspired me to jump into this with both feet was John Jewell.
Right.
And
John Jewell is the chair of our Board of Supervisors in
Right.
Frederick County.
yeah, and Blaine Dunn is another supervisor. Blaine said to me, we really need to have somebody take a hard look at this with the facts and not just all the emotion. And so when Dana came up with the idea of a think tank, and I put the two together, that was exactly what we needed to do. And the first thing we did was brainstorm. We had about 10, 11 people that we had a brainstorming session. We came up with, I think, about 30 things that people were concerned with that we
41.
boiled. 31?
41.
Yeah. So
we had a whole sticky board full of ideas.
So we grouped them together and boiled them down to these that you're looking at right now. And people are concerned about how our beautiful valley is going to be affected, both scenic wise and historically, running into battlegrounds and everything. Noise pollution came up as a big one. The water consumption, the water table is everybody's concerned that their wells are already going dry. We are in drought conditions, and the huge consumption of data centers of water is frightening. The electricity demand is huge, and then the grid is going to strain under it, as are our bills. We're going to be charged for more infrastructure, maintenance, and operation.
No matter what they say.
And and we don't want to lose our farmland, and because once we take it over, once they take it over, build data centers, even if they got rid of the data center someday, they're not going to be able to get it back to farmland. It's losing our food supply. And then the quality of life impacts. There's a lot of discussion about that. So we worked on coming up with a set of solutions for that. But we have a core principle that we worked on, and Dana mentioned it, was that we're not coming out against data centers because we know that's inevitable. That's the national mandate. But we want them to come out and build their stuff and locate them and consume their resources in a productive way, in a way that the residents of the valley can be comfortable with the data centers being there. And we know the data centers create a tremendous amount of wealth. So we just want them to do some things to mitigate all of these fears, which may be imaginary or actual. And it really doesn't matter. That's where the voting public is.
Right.
So we came up with these solutions. And this is just a summary page. We're going to go into these a little deeper. But the first one was, well, let's build them underground. And then what we did was we came up with all these solutions, prioritized
for the
them
problems.
For the problems that we identified. And then Dan had this thought that, well, let's talk about solutions relative to the problems that they solve. So we did that, and that's what the bulk of the report is in doing that. As you'll notice, by example, by burying these data centers, and we'll talk more about the pros and cons of that. The view problem goes away, as does the noise if it's done properly. People are talking about EMF, radiation, frequency, all that stuff. That goes away if it's underground.
Some of that, right.
They're not contributing as much heat to the climate as they otherwise would if they're underground, because it's cooler underground. Security, safety concerns, and most of all, by burying them, getting them out of sight, out of mind, you address the objections of all of the people, the public. So, without going into each one, first, underground construction. The second one was having a closed loop cooling cycle, no water, like your automobile engine has, doesn't consume water. Self-generated power. The president has already approved on-site power generation.
And he's talking about fusion. He's talking about nuclear fusion right now too. That's a big deal.
It is. And having strict site selection rules of where they're going to put it, because we don't want to lose our farmland, and a whole other set of impacts that goes away by limiting them to where we want them to go. And then there's things like what happens when they go bankrupt or shut it down. We want that addressed up front, and we can do that with ways to pay for remediation, and then transparency on what's going on, so we can see what's here and what we're looking at, and not have things hidden behind non-disclosure agreements.
Right.
We want it transparent and public. So
Dan, you want to add anything?
that's just an overview.
Mm-hmm.
Danny, you want to move to? Oh, you guys have a comment on any of these in a general sense?
Well, I would like to clarify that the bankruptcy is a possibility. It's not a likelihood, but the
Right.
technology for data centers is changing so fast
We were
that
foreseeing the
by
future.
the time these data centers are up and operational in 4 or 5 years, the technology may already have bypassed them, which could lead to some financial troubles for the companies that own these data centers. So it's a risk. It's not a probability. It's not a likelihood. It's a risk that has to be addressed so that Frederick County is not left holding the receipts for the remediation.
And
We
it's
just
something
wanted
like
to
that.
mitigate risk.
Yeah. Yeah. If something like that happens, then it could be that all this income that enticed the county leaders to bring these data centers in, all that tax income disappears
Right.
as
Exactly.
technology makes those changes that Dan was talking about.
And we had to think financially. You were talking, Charlie, about the NDAs and so forth, and we've also talked to the commissioner about tax revenue and how that goes down and depreciation and so forth. So there's a lot that goes into that a lot of people don't look at when they're trying to. We're trying to give people the opportunity to make a critical or a logical decision on how this works and be able to try to remediate some of the problems that could happen.
So going a little deeper into the recommendations that we come up with, the first one being underground construction. Um, we talked about, well, there's some open pits around here that extractive mining has left behind. They
Mm-hmm.
could build data centers down in the bottom of those and cover
Cover them.
them with rock, with fill, um, get them out of the way of these beautiful scenery that we have in the county when you look across a farmland and the Blue Ridge Mountains and the peacefulness of it all, just to get them out of the way. It provides some natural cooling. Noise is reduced because you've got a buffer of the fill. And noise is a big issue for a lot of places where they've built within 500 feet, 1,000 feet of residential properties, and you end up with a continuous hum
Mm-hmm.
24/7.
Especially when they fire them up.
Yeah. So, and it it provides better security. Um, there's less of a footprint on the surface, but there's a little footprint. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Um, the cost increase, yes, it would cost more to bury it. Yes, it would eat into a little bit of the profits that come out of this whole endeavor. Um,
But in the long
but
run,
but yeah, in the short run, it might. Um, how did you put it, Dan? The better way of
It
extra
would
year.
reduce the payback period.
Right.
In the short run, it would extend the payback period, but not significantly, maybe half a year to a year and a half based on other examples of this being done. And I would
right.
also like to point out that since our county, Frederick County, Virginia, has considerable mining activities already, there are large piles of mining waste in
Right.
the county that are already eyesores. And it's something to consider anyway that that mining waste be used to bury these data centers underground, under the waste, as a way of solving two problems at once.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah, yeah.
so there are a lot of interesting options that this raises.
Okay, let's try the next slide. So the idea of doing this without water is important to us because we have a fragile aquifer. We have wells. We have a Shenandoah River, um, a variety of places that and in fact, some of those, one of those open pits from extractive mining is being used to capture water also
Mhm.
for the community. Um, but the demand that has been in place for years on data centers is absolutely huge. Now they're making some progress in reducing that amount of water that they use, and all we would be doing is codifying this and saying, yes, you will use the most effective way of having water-free cooling, and then that may include immersive cooling. It may include refrigerant, glycol. It uh, might
All
be
that still
something we
leaves a
never
risk.
even thought of yet.
Right.
So, so water being the big issue, it is if we don't have, let me back up. If water is consumed at the rate that they consumed water in Loudoun County on those data centers, that would be a sole and reasonable reason to say no to all data centers. So this is a non-starter that if you can't do water-free cooling, or at least keep it down to the volume of water that is typically used by businesses in the area. Um, and that may
Or be able
also
to recycle
limit
it.
the number of data centers, depending on what consumption is, because they say one of the food processing companies in Frederick County uses 1 million gallons of water a day.
Right.
Well, if a data center only uses 500,000 gallons a day, a half a million, which is what they've generally been using, then think of it when you put in 100 data centers and each of them are using that. That's untenable. So you guys have some thoughts on the water circumstances and the
The
issues with it?
only thing I can say, Charlie, is when you're using glycol or things like that, if there's ever a leakage problem or things like that, every time I think about water, I think about Flint, Michigan, and they've never ever fixed that and the people that got sick there. So there's always something, some little hoop that we have to jump through. But I think, people are, if they're smart enough and they're willing to get involved in this thing, I think this can be done right, or if it can be done. But uh, also the way we also looked at this with all of the things that Charlie has covered so far is our democracy, as they want to call it, is not. It's a republic, and it's we the people that call the shots. And a lot of times people use the pocketbook over our head. Well, if we're the ones paying the taxes, we're the ones that tell them pretty much what they should be doing for us, which is why Mountain Patriots got together to begin with to try to, that we were held accountable by the IRS, supposedly. Okay, that's another story. But we want to make sure that the people that we've elected to office are held accountable as well, and they're working with us, and they have to work with us because they live here as well. They're subject to the same thing we are. Dan?
Dan, your thoughts on the water?
Well, I know that there has been some discussion about the water issues with Frederick Water, but Frederick Water is the local corporation, the local company that processes and distributes water.
Mm-hmm.
That's not our concern. They maintain that they have, with the new water gathering locations that they've opened up and the new water processing capabilities that they have, that water should not be an issue for the valley. But it is still an issue for those people that live on wells,
Mm-hmm.
because
Absolutely.
it would be unfair to expect people to have to, all the landowners here on well systems, to have to dig deeper to find that water because it's being taken away by industry. It's not just an issue about the local um, uh,
It's individual. as well.
water infrastructure that is managed by Frederick Water.
Right, right on.
And the fact is, we've been through what, 3 years of drought now in our valley. We have to
Have we?
accept that, we have to prepare for the worst conditions, not the best
Correct.
conditions.
So power being the next big item, there's the power lines coming in, switching stations. There's a whole lot of issues uh, on electricity because once they build additional capacity, which is required either by building processing energy, generating electricity, or just taking it in through high tension lines from West Virginia, which is coming or here.
Hmm.
That we don't want to be overrun with high tension power lines, but the bigger concern is once they have this infrastructure, we're buying our electricity from Dominion
Mhm.
or from Rappahannock. Um, we we see a bigger cost in maintaining and operating a bigger infrastructure,
Right.
and we're concerned about our electric prices going up. Now they're going
Exactly.
up anyway. We just don't want them to go up further. So, as one of the solutions is to generate their own power, well, we want that generated underground also. Now, that's what Dana alluded to is small nuclear power plants have been okayed for
That's a
data
big deal
centers.
this week.
That's a future thing uh, at this point, but it is certainly reasonable. I know the Navy had snap generators, nuclear generators out on um, listening posts throughout the ocean by themselves. And so small generators are a thing that's already been done.
Well, so
So,
hey Charlie, the other
yeah.
day, because I was doing some more research on this, and I'm following what TMG, the Trump Media Group, is doing, and they're hooking together uh, with a nuclear fusion. That the history throughout history for the last 50, 75 years, this nuclear fusion has been an option. But now they're looking at, and this is all brand new in the last 48 hours that I'm hearing, that they're going to build a gigantic plant to be able to do a nuclear fusion thing and be able to do the AI and power that as well. So a lot of
Well,
these smaller ones may not have to, I mean, they may not have to happen. Who knows?
Well,
right.
one of the things we need to keep in mind, and I think you
We're
bring up
growing.
excellent points, is the timelines of
Hmm.
any data center project. If we were to approve data centers today, it might be 4 or 5 years before they
Before they're
become
here.
operational, after they've jumped through all the hoops and done the
Or six or
construction.
seven. Yeah.
And then knowing financially the benefits to the county, financial benefits, would probably be greatest for the first 5 years, and
Be a shot in the arm.
level through due
After
to
the 5 years of
depreciation of
construction.
property and such. So we're talking about really 10 years where this is an issue, but within 10 years, there can be rapid changes in the energy situation. So there are options. The energy companies, the data center companies, rather, can build plants, gas-fired plants to generate energy,
Exactly.
located at other sites and uh, that are sold to the electrical co-ops
Right.
in exchange for energy delivered to the data centers. I mean, there are many, many different options. Small module nuclear reactors may or may not be available readily available
Hmm.
in 4 or 5 years. We don't know that. But these are all technical developments that are going to take time and that need to be paced in accordance, in tandem with the evolution of data center technology as we anticipate it to be 4 or 5 years from now in our county.
Yep.
So, along with that issue, site selection safeguards is how we categorize this grouping of proposed ordinances or statutes. Um, now this one is challengeable. No data centers west of I-81 unless pre-identified industrial zone. That should probably be either east or west, not just west. Um, but it needs to be a pre-identified industrial zone that it's put in. Now, this is a proposal also that's done. There's one other county that has required a 2,000-foot setback, 2,000 feet from the data center to the nearest residence. I think right now our ordinances says 200 feet,
Mm-hmm.
which is woefully inadequate. And we want them to have looked at the geology so that they don't build and cause sinkholes.
Yeah, in the karst, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And this is just kind of a bit of a pipe dream, but there's an issue of how do we get future Route 37 on the east side of 81? Well, we could do that by placing all of the data centers along the proposed path. But anyway,
Put them
with
under the road, Charlie, as we go.
right, pave the top. Um, and we don't want any in historic sites or farmland
Right.
or prime farmland. So with that, did you guys have any comments on the site selection one?
Yeah, we were right on with it. And I hope other people will give put some comments in here because we want to hear what other people are doing. There was 10, 11, 12 of us that put a lot into it. I want to thank Leslie Spencer again for all the stuff that she put in and the time and the information that she gathered for us. But this is the opportunity, folks, to step up, and this is your town. It's your town. Get
So
involved.
so then bankruptcy, obsolescence, and remediation. That's what we had, one of our requests. Um, so we don't want to find ourselves at the end of the use of a facility um, where the corporation moves on and leaves behind this
A ghost town.
a ghost town of data centers. And I've had fun suggesting that well, we can just make pickleball courts out of them. Yeah, we'd probably have too many pickleball courts, but
I love it.
nonetheless, um, we want to be able to cover the demolition, the de
Decontamination.
decontamination, and restoration, if such a thing happens. Um, Otherwise, they're just going to be like was said, a ghost town. And
Yep.
there's there are things that can be done, a sinking fund, escrow fund, maybe insurance. We're not experts on that, but that needs to be looked at, not by the data center, but by the local uh, board of supervisors and figure out how we deal with that risk. You guys add anything to that?
Well, I think we also need to make sure that the cost of this insurance and the escrow funds is borne by the data centers, not by
Yes,
the county.
yes, exactly. Okay, and the next slide. Um, we learned that data centers, it's really difficult for counties to capture the revenues from the tax revenues from data centers because there's
Yeah.
so many things they can do. Hide behind a non-disclosure agreement. They can uh, become or go to a nonprofit, so they're non-taxable. They can have multiple other LLCs, corporate things to hide behind. So we feel that the best way to deal with that is sunlight,
No
is to,
NDAs.
is to make it as open as possible, as transparent as possible, and and maybe consider some other charges that would live on after, as Dan mentioned, the the tax structure for equipment and machinery has a depreciation. So the depreciation allowance over 5 years goes down to 5%
Correct.
of what they were taxable on to begin with. So as Board of Supervisors and others see follow the siren song of all of these revenues coming in, they need to know that those revenues have a built-in reduction down to a
They have a
20th.
stop.
Yeah, down to a
They have a
20th
dead
of what they
stop,
started with.
and
And one of the dynamics that occurs with that is that once communities get a big surge of revenue, they tend to commit that revenue to long-standing projects that demand continuous investment.
upkeep. Mm-hmm.
So
Upkeep.
one of the suggestions that we're making is that given that the revenue generating lifespan of a data center is, let's say for the sake of argument, between 4 and 7 years, that the permits for data centers be metered in a consistent basis so that that revenue stream is spread out. The projected revenue stream is spread out. Other communities on the other side of the mountain from us in Virginia, I think, got trapped because they invested in a lot of data center development only to see their revenues dry up after 5 years. And what was the obvious solution? Well, build more data centers. So it led to out of control growth. And we want to avoid that for Frederick County.
So that's basically are the recommendations that we're making. And what we decided was that we needed to not just say some general things about what we should do. We have ordinances in Frederick County, and there is an ordinance for data centers. And if you read that ordinance, which we have, it talks half of the total ordinances talk about how to measure noise. So that's just in my mind, a red herring. If you get us talking about how to measure noise a whole bunch, you won't notice these other things that have to be done. So we put this in wording that would fit into the building code as an ordinance. So we got four slides here of the proposed ordinance wording, and you can read them.
You want me to go forward, Charlie?
No, I'm good. Well, we've got it broken down into, well, just as an example, underground data center structure. All data center structures shall be constructed entirely underground in an on-site excavation covered with fill material, except for the entrance, office space, loading docks, and receiving station. So what that does is it puts some wording in the hands of the Board of Supervisors and the Planning Department and the Zoning Department to put these words in there. So all of us have learned over the years that you don't go to the boss with a problem and that's it. You go to the boss with a problem and a solution. And here's our solution on these 4 slides. One on data center structures underground, one on the closed loop cooling systems, and the water consumption, one on site selection that we just went through, and then utilities. We want them all underground also. And the excavation material that they dig out in order to make space for the data center is to be used for either berms for landscaping or dispose of as the county approves. And excavation, they may say, "Oh, you can't do that excavation on this property." You can excavate anywhere. There is nothing stopping excavation. You probably don't want to excavate over the the land that is made of tunnels and calcite and the the permeations that we have under Frederick County that created our caverns. You don't want to deal with all of those things because you might open up a flood of water. But there are other parts of the county that are more stable than that. But in you look at any big buildings anywhere, they excavate down below them for several levels of parking garage. That's all we're asking is do the same thing as the skyscrapers do for parking garages. You dig down and you build it down there, and there's plenty of issues that have to be dealt with in doing that. But the point is, it can be excavated. So slide 3 of 4.
It's always easier to do it with OPM, right, Charlie? Other people's
Other
money.
people's money.
You
That's
know?
right. That's right. So landscaping, we said have a landscaping rehabilitation plan. It must require approval by the local residents in the county. So
You have a voice, people. You have a voice.
We want people to have a voice, and that's what this whole thing is intended to ensure, and the restoration. So you get the idea that we're providing some words to be put directly in. Now, as Dan is so inclined to say, is we're starting the discussion. You may not, they may not, no one might agree with some of these recommendations that we made, but this is our opening discussion. Let's talk about it. Let's figure out how we can come as close as possible to what it is we're trying to achieve.
Where it's a win-win. We're all, I think, tired at this point after everything that's happened over the last few years. It's always win-lose. It's not win-win ever. It's win-lose. We'd like to have win, 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 or forget it. I mean, if it's not win-win-win, it's not worth it. But I want to make a point again to everybody that's watching this. This took a lot of effort and a lot of time by a few people. Imagine what happens if you make your voice heard and be part of this. Don't sit back and get run over by somebody telling you what you can and cannot do. This is where we live. You want to work in my if you want to come to my house and landscape my house, I'm going to tell you where I want the flower pots to go. It's the same thing on a countywide level.
Now, on that point that Dana made,
get involved.
Is give your representative on the Board of Supervisors a call and say whatever of what we're showing you that you agree with, say that you want that. That
Make your voice heard.
You're there.
If not, then let's start that discussion.
Yeah, exactly.
One other thing, and you just brought up something, Charlie, we talked about a lot, which is why we did this. I can walk into the Board of Supervisors meeting or Planning Commission and get my 3 minutes. Okay. And everybody's like, okay, that's really cool. All right. Thanks a lot. Next. Okay. Nobody hears you. And your Board of Supervisors.
And your 3 minutes is very easy.
Your 3 minutes is up, even if there's 100 of us. Okay. So we wanted to make sure that we weren't just spending 3 minutes. We were going to give all kinds of options that we thought about, and we had help putting together so that you can be part of this as well. This is a starting point, like Dan just said. This is a starting point to open the discussion on how we all can work together and be involved in this. You ready for the next one, Charlie?
Yes, and being transparent is another big thing.
Everything's hidden.
Here we help ensure access to information of the data centers at the data centers, and to audit them for the taxation, so that we're able to see what really is available and legal to be taxed.
And I would also like to point that some people may not understand this, that data centers are a very highly competitive industry. So they don't want to share financial information that could be used by their competitors against them. So that is why we have to respect their privacy, but we can use third-party audits by large auditing firms, financial firms like KPMG or such. It's commonly done in the industry, and it provides the interests of all. It protects the interests of all parties.
And to improve clarity, we also ask that projected tax revenues shall be in writing and agreed upon by the county and the data center owner operator annually before the ensuing tax year. So that's the whole idea of setting expectations as well as transparency,
Absolutely.
and then
If you're going to
making
go ahead, Charlie.
everything public.
Hmm.
All revenue projections, that is, not their private data.
If I'm going to
Understanding
build a
that they're
house,
projections, they're not promises.
right?
Yes, right.
Projections. See, if I'm going to build a house, I mean, and I've done this before, stick built a house, and I knew what was. If you've got to watch every step, and then you have somebody come in and take a look at it, I'd rather spend that couple extra dollars to make sure it's done right than pay for it later on down the line because I wasn't paying attention to what was going on. And everybody is so busy. We just want to make sure that we're watching. Just like if you were going to build your house, you come in and inspect it, see what the builder's done, what the electrician's done, get somebody to take a look at it so that you're not getting ripped off. Okay, it's pretty simple.
Yeah, the county's probably going to have to increase their staffing to keep track of all of this stuff too.
I'd rather do
So
it gives another job, doesn't
yeah,
it?
probably,
And
probably.
we're already growing anyway, so some of these jobs are going to be created, especially under the new administration.
So all of these things that we're asking is going to cost something more than what the private company that's building and owning the data center is going to want to pay. And as we mentioned earlier, it's only going to add months into the payback period. And there's billions of dollars being transferred, lots of millionaires being made. All we want is a piece of that as in order to take care of what we consider a problem or a host of problems, because we want to preserve Frederick County and Shenandoah Valley and the Blue Ridge Mountains, all of this beauty that we have here. And by implementing these, it turns potential conflict into symbiotic and peaceful coexistence between data centers, those corporations, and the residents, citizens locally. And I think that's the bottom line that we all want is to peacefully coexist with something that's a win-win situation.
Has to be. We're wrapping it up, folks. I hope this has been very educational for you, and I really hope that you watch it. If you do not watch it and pay attention, the only person to blame is you. Remember, when you're pointing fingers at somebody, there's three more pointing back at you. So get involved in what's going on. So, Charlie, you want to cover our call to action?
Yeah. We want you to contact the county planning department, planning commission, the board of supervisors, and tell them if you agree with what we're proposing here, tell them that you want them to adopt those proposals. And the whole thing about what we were doing is we're not against progress. We just want progress that doesn't destroy what we love. And that's the bottom line.
We want to do something right. People, what my grandfather used to always tell me, Dana, people never have enough time to do things right. But you ever notice they always have enough time and money to do them over? So let's do it right the first time.
Yep.
Always tell the truth. It's easier to remember. Treat people like you deserve to be treated. And, if we're not paying attention the way the world is today, somebody is definitely going to take advantage of you. So we want to make sure that it is, again, a win-win-win for the people of Frederick County and other counties that are probably going to deal with the same thing in the next couple of years with your data centers and other projects that happen in your own locale. So we wanted to kind of give an idea of what we're trying to do as Mountain Patriots. And this is just one of the things that we'll be covering in our think tank. We have other projects we're working on as well. Correct, Charlie?
Let the conversation begin.
Absolutely.
Amen to that, folks.
Well, I want to thank these guys, both of them, for all of the work. Okay, I just kind of facilitate things and stick my head in, and so much work has been done by Charlie, by Leslie, by Dan. The amount of time, effort, energy, and hours, folks, if we had to spend money to have something like this done, you're talking about a fortune just for the research that we've done. We're doing it for free. All we're asking you to do is put your 2 cents in it as well. Okay. Help come together, help make it a win-win proposition for all of us in Frederick County. And let's pull this thing together as a community. Any last words, Charlie?
No, I'm good.
Dan?
Yeah, I'd like to add a point, and that
Good.
is this. The nature of the Board of Supervisors in this county is such that they cannot dictate conditions to people coming to them with offers for data center development.
Great point.
However, that doesn't stop us. If data center companies want a good idea of what would be more likely to be approved by the people of this county, just watch this podcast.
Wouldn't it make more sense, instead of spending a lot of money on litigation, just again to do it, work with people and do it right to begin with? It's like it's a marriage.
Exactly.
It's a marriage. I mean, you don't want to put all this stuff together and end up in a divorce later, because the only ones that win are the lawyers. We want to make sure that it's us that does it. Well, Charlie, I'm going to ask you if you have the Mountain Patriots prayer available. We want to
Yes.
thank everybody for taking the time. Please share this with everybody that you can think of. Copy, paste it, text it. Go to the mtnpats.com and look us up, or wakeupwinchester.com, and make sure that you share this far and wide. And as a Christian ministry, we're going to ask Charlie, of course, to take us out with a prayer, because the Lord Jesus Christ is the one that makes everything roll for us. So, Charlie, please.
Let us pray. Dear Lord, thank you for this beautiful world and this country that you've given us, and the patriots who are willing to care for it. Thank you for inspiring our founders to create this beautiful republic. Please help us to keep it as the aspiring place to live. Please give us the wisdom to do the right things, the common sense to judge wisely, the energy to never give up, and your unending grace in which we take comfort. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Charlie. I want to thank everybody for watching. Have a great afternoon, and by all means, have a fantastic new year. You all be well, be happy, be safe, and we'll see you again on the next Mountain Patriots broadcast.